Hello, folks, and welcome back to another Paint With Me video. Today, if you were not able to tell, I am going to be painting a portrait of this lovely lady. I started by sketching the portrait in my sketchbook first, just so that I get all the proportions right and then have the opportunity to decide where I put it on the canvas/paper that I'll be painting on. So yeah, I'm using carbon paper here to just trace this portrait onto my paper. And then after I trace using that carbon paper, I just go in and add a little bit more detail with the pencil, as you'll see here in a second. And then I'm gonna start painting. So very excited for this one. I'm not really a people painter, to be quite honest with you. I think that my experience painting people, actually I know that my experience painting people is very limited, and I have much growth to do. I will pop up some examples of some portraits that I've done in the past, or just even like sketches of people, and as you may see, they are not the quality that one might want for painting decent and realistic portraits, which is my goal. Not that my definition of decent may be different than anyone else's definition of decent, but regardless, my whole goal of painting portraits is A, because I just want to learn and I want to have that skill in my back pocket, but B, or maybe this is the primary one and the secondary reason is B. My cousin is getting married in September of this year, and her fiance really like the idea of painting, like having an artist painting them at their wedding. You know the trend, you've seen it. But they just don't have the money to do that in their budget right now. So they were going to find a picture that they really liked and then shove it in AI and make it look painted. And I was like, no, you're not gonna do that. I'm gonna learn how to paint people, and I will do this for you because I am not letting you use AI to do this. So I have to learn how to paint people to the expectation that I'm putting in my head before September of this year. So I'm trying to practice as much as I can, and it starts with this woman right here. And as you can see here, I already put I primed my canvas, my paper, with this raw sienna, burnt sienna mixture on the back to be like nice brown, nice little tannish brown in the back. And now I am adding with that same color and then a mixture of very dark layers of tones, shades. One of those two. Values, maybe, is the word that I'm looking for. And I'm hoping that this can be a guide for me because, like I said, I don't paint people very often or really at all, and I'm trying to learn and like take it one step at a time, hoping that this helps. I also think I came to a realization. I've been trying to like really blend in the colors of the face and getting really frustrated with like it not looking the way that I wanted it to look, and I think that I've been getting too stuck in the nitty-gritties and thinking too much in my head that like this is different from anything that I've ever done before, because I'm really a landscape and animal painter. That's just what's in my bones. But I think what helped is I really like painting frogs. And frogs have smooth skin, which is the closest to human skin I think that I've painted. And so I was just like, imagine you're painting a frog. Like, you're painting a frog, Chrissy. It's easy. It's just a frog. It's harmless, right? Because honestly, painting people really scares me. I don't know if there are any other artists out there who may relate to this, but it's hard to paint and draw people and make them look right. My husband has reminded me multiple times that the human brain is hardwired to look at human faces because we're all human, hopefully. And so we're hardwired to look at the faces and see inconsistencies, see things that don't quite look right. And obviously, right, people all look different. We all have our own proportions and our own uniqueness. But, like, if things don't just quite go together or don't just quite look the right like they should, our brain is going to really notice them. So my goal is, as I am painting these portraits, to draw them first so that I have a good idea of those proportions, and then kind of like go slowly, layer slowly, and not be afraid of having to go back. Like at one point in this painting, I add a little bit too much lightness on the face and I have to go back and add in some depth. And it ended up with a portrait that I'm actually really happy with. Like, I think this is the best portrait that I've done to date. So I'm very thrilled with that. But it's also added pressure because now I have to do that, which is kind of hard. Anyway, so I'm just putting, as with any other painting that I do, the first layer down. So I did the first layer on her, and I'm doing the first layer, which just ended up being the background. I didn't go back and add a second layer on the background, but kind of first layering everything. And like I said, on her, it's like a first base layer to give me the darkest, lightest, and medium colors in the face. And then I'm gonna go back in and worry about the actual colors of the face, because I think that's something that I still have not learned exactly how to color faces and where all of the contour lines are and where certain things should get darker, and I'm getting better at that. But I've never been someone, I think, and I have thought as I have painted people and thought about this, that I don't wear makeup really. I mean, the only makeup that I wear is mascara, and so I don't like put contour on my face and like highlighter and all of that stuff that I think really helps you understand the different levels of your face and when certain things shift. So I'm just like studying bones and faces, trying to like ascertain where like the cheekbones come in and drop down and stuff. And sometimes I think it's hard painting from portraits or photographs that have like too much dramatic lighting, because if it's like really bright, it's gonna take away certain lines that might otherwise be there. Anyway, long story short, this is how we came here, and I'm kind of finally going back in and adding more layers and more detail and more depth here, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. I think that, I mean, like I said, I'm happy. The only thing that I think frustrates me here, and I caught it only after I was done with everything, and it kind of goes back to like sketching first, making sure it all looks good. And I've been using grid lines on my sketches and putting them in Procreate, putting grids on the photos that I'm referencing, so that I kind of have like that grid reference. Well, this woman's forehead, right from her brow ridge to the top of her hairline, is angled. I mean, it's at almost like a 45-degree angle here in what I drew and what I'm now painting. And I realized as I was looking back at the photo itself, that I'll pop right here, that it's not that angle. It's actually kind of more straight up and down. So I think that's really the one thing that I'm kind of irritated with myself about. But other than that, I really like how eventually I'm kind of getting closer to the end here. The neck and the hair and that area is like really dramatic and really dark and almost indistinguishable from each other in the photo, and I really wanted to like use that dramatic lighting and kind of lean into it. And so in a second here, I'm going to whip out my colored pencils. Fun fact, using those colored pencils actually happened at like 2 o'clock in the morning one day because I was really stressed out and I couldn't sleep, and so I had to wake up and do something. Anyway, long story short, I used colored pencils to add the final like texture and kind of go back in and add the final highlights and like sharp, crisp things that I wanted. Anyway, I'm almost done here, and I wanted to thank you so much for watching and invite you to join me on the next one. The reveal is coming up here shortly, so I hope you enjoyed it.